Welcome to STARCARD Podcast. Here at STARCARD Podcast, we get a glimpse at the age of Aquarius ahead of us. We also examine the worlds of education and workplace ethics. My name is Breakaway Ray. I like talking about the breakaway civilizations because we're breaking away from the one we're in now. You're tuning into a live tarot throw. Today is November 6th. 2025. Thanks for inviting me into your home. I didn't come empty-handed. I brought you some tarot cards. It's 3D Thursday. 3D means 3 decks, 3 tarot decks. And then we're going to spell out some messages with all 3 decks to help you have some fun and grow and explore on today, November 6th. Let's go to the tarot cam. That's right. If you want a reading in the second part of the show, which is about a half an hour away, do type in the chat, tarot please, in all capital letters. You can also hit the top fans button. That will also indicate to me that you're interested in a reading. We're trying to get you some light here on the tarot table. Sweet. Here we go. So deck number 1, you're all familiar with. It's the classic tarot. This is the one that I've been using since March when I learned tarot with Matthew Mournian. Matthew Mournian's name is spelled Mournian. My bro from San Diego. I'm not sure he's in San Diego right now. Nevertheless, I started in March and I taught myself some more with this deck because it actually has the words on the cards. So you learn in a rapid way with this deck. Also bringing you the foil deck, which comes in this box. This is the black foil deck. I have another one that's not so dark. Nevertheless, wonderful pictures and a great shiny back. Very slippery feel to them. If you've been around, then you know I've had some fun with those cards. And then I busted out. I went out to the bottom of my tarot decks, and I want to see the mirror. I want to see the Mermaid Tarot again. So I've got the Mermaid deck here, and that's going to be my featured deck for 3D Thursday. Here we go. In the interest of saving time, I have already shuffled the decks. And first, we're going to start with the Mermaid Tarot. And the top card is going to be our frame card, like the scope we use to check out the fun events portrayed by the rest of this deck and those 2 decks over there. Now, we're going to throw 2 cards. That's right, we're going to fan them out and draw this one, and I'll take the one off the bottom there. Thankfully, no cards are like jumping out or popping out or anything like that, because then that's more cards. Sometimes the cards want to come out. All right, so next, go to our, let's put the, no, this is the way I had it. Let's go with these guys right now. We're going to take the one off the top and the one off the bottom. There we go. And then we're going to go to the foil deck. Whoa, be careful. All right. And again, one off the top, one off the bottom. All the decks were shuffled before I turn on the camera. All right. So this is for entertainment purposes only. Glad we're all having fun in November. Welcome to StarCard Podcast. Thanks for being here. It's 3D Thursday. Our reference card is, I'm going to need a little bit more light, please. Yeah, pardon the noise of my Foley artist alongside me. Okay, joking around. It's the 5 of Pentacles. Had to be the 5 of Pentacles, huh? All right. So the 5 of Pentacles, we're looking at the beautiful imagery on the Mermaid Tarot cards. Someone looks forlorn. And then in the water, there appears to be a mermaid, a mer person, and she's got the 5 pentacles and they're sparkling. There's some kind of hope involved there. So, well, let's just take a look at that image. Someone's hiding, almost the way you would characterize an ostrich, might be hiding. Maybe they're scared of something. Nevertheless, there's hope. You've got to look around for the hope. Someone's there to help you. In my case, from my perspective, of course, it's going to be the spirit world. You're going to follow your intuition, and you're going to see the sparkling pentacles that you think are not there. Anyway, let's see what's going on with the rest of these. Event number 1, I was expecting to see the world card today. Anyway, let's take a look at this world card. The world card tends to be a very lovely image. There you go. Check that out. No matter what deck you use, it's pretty fascinating to look at the world card. The world card indicates completion. And then we also have the mysterious Four of Cups. Wow. The mysterious and complex Four of Cups. So again, we have a human denoted by the two legs, the bipedal creature there. Looks like he's been drinking. He's got the 5 bottles down. So, but that's the 5 of Cups. Nevertheless, you also have, well, you only see 3 cups there. I beg your pardon. I'm using all the wrong words. This is the 4 of Cups. Getting my 5s and my 4s confused. Let's start over, Breakaway Ray. Here we go. It's the end, says the world card, of this episode where you don't recognize all 4 cups. You only thought you had 3, and you boost it up, and now you're not even paying attention to 4. And look, the 4th cup comes with a possible fun friend to hang out with. Anyway, you're missing out, bro. Well, you were missing out. That episode is over because, again, we have to look for, the shiny part of life. The spirit world is right there with its offering. Pay attention to it. This ruefulness can be behind you. Let's put the world top on top there. There we go. Next up from the other deck. Wow. Getting all excited. I know these cards very well. So we have the Queen of Swords. And in my mind, she always says, that's right, or you were right. And then the Death card indicates transformation and change. So whatever change or transformation or new beginning, whatever is going on, you're on the right path. Maybe because you're sensing that the spirit world is offering you something. That's how I'm turning the meaning of this mermaid card, this 5 of Pentacles. Because it talks about spiritual poverty, the 5 of Pentacles. That guy looks spiritually impoverished. Yeah, but the spirit world didn't go anywhere. He's got everything. So you're right. Make a change. And then finally, from the foil, let's emphasize the point with the 8 of Wands. The 8 of Wands indicates flight and travel, but it also says something's happening really soon, really fast. And he is alongside the Emperor. Wow, you're in control, says the Emperor. So when you find yourself in this situation, you can find out right away that you're in control because you're following the intuition that led you to the change, to the path that you're taking right now, wherever your present moment is. And this all started because you'd had enough of the drinking and the feeling sorry for yourself, and you put an end to it. All right. I kind of like how that story played out. I hope it was fun for you. Thanks for tuning in. Let's give each deck a little shuffle and say thanks for the fun message from the tarot world. Thank you very much, tarot world. I appreciate the help. You guys are great script writers. Okay, so we'll put that right there. And then, so in case you're new to STARCARD Podcast, number one, I don't want to forget this part. It's a full moon in the time bubble I'm in right now. So no matter what time you see this recording, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't subscribed, now would be a great time to share the magic. Because again, in the time bubble where I'm at, it's a full moon. And sunrise is just coming up. Pretty awesome here out on the West Coast where I'm at. So we're going to go back upstairs. Stand by. Hey, great. In about 20 or 30 minutes, we're going to be getting tarot requests from the audience in the chat. So please stand by. But if you want to gauge your time, if you're watching live, or maybe you want to fast forward or what have you, it'll be about 25 or 30 minutes. And then this first part of the show today, I'd like to talk about the 3 of Wands card and the Magician card. The 3 of Wands card, okay, you'll just have to use your imagination or your memory. I know I should have had them ready for you, right? Anyway, the 3 of Wands card is that guy's got his back to us and he's staring out into the horizon and he's planning for the future and he's got foresight. And whenever I see the 3 of Wands, I say to myself, luck is where preparation meets opportunity. So if you're constantly preparing, when that opportunity finally comes your way, you're the one who's going to be ready for it, right? And then that also applies when you look at the magician card. The magician card is the one where the magician is taking from the ether ideas and making them real in the 3D and material world. So in that sense, if you're trying to create your own reality, sorry, I'm not going to be, I think it's karma law number 3. I'm trying to quote karma law number 3. You know, life happens because you create it, you make it happen. I'm paraphrasing. I don't have it memorized yet. Nevertheless, if you're talking about that, you know, and if you want to follow hermetic sciences and change your life, okay, first, you know, you make a plan. And even if your plan sounds outlandish, if you can't stop imagining it, you're probably on the right track. Then what if it takes a long time? Well, sometimes things take a long time. Go check your 12 laws of karma. It's on there. But nevertheless, if you plan and you advance on your plan millimeter by millimeter, a little bit every day, eventually, you know, you've reached your goal. For example, you could talk about your, if you are a parent, you know, you started out when the child was very young, but when that child grew up and became an adult, it was because it was a team effort and everybody put their energy in and everyone planned ahead for all the events in their lives and supported them throughout to help that child grow into the beautiful adult that you have now. Congratulations. If you're one of those parents out there, to all parents, good for you, moms and dads, way to go. So where was I going with this? So today we're going to talk first of all about that kind of foresight and that planning. That's correct. And then we're going to talk about voting. And I want to let everyone know, sometimes when we talk about voting in the United States, maybe a trigger warning is warranted. Some people get very excited about this. Let's not forget that StarCard Podcast is my own platform, and I'm sharing my ideas while we still have the First Amendment here in the United States. And that also means that while I respect your points of view, I appreciate you also respecting mine. I'm just going to present some things that I know, some things to be aware of regarding voting as far as I'm concerned. But that doesn't mean anyone has to listen to what I have to say. Everyone has to make up their own mind. I want everyone to pay attention to whatever they're paying attention to. Anyway, so first of all, we were just talking earlier about planning ahead and, for example, raising a child. And then I was also thinking to myself, even though I don't live like a lot of people with a family, I still go to the market and I still have to plan ahead. I'm still a homemaker, and just about anyone tuning in is a homemaker. And if you're a homemaker, you can get behind the idea of like, you know, I got to cook and clean. And you know what, if I make this one meal means I don't have to cook for the next 3 days if I make enough of it, right? I sock a bunch away in the freezer. Okay, so you're planning ahead. You know, we've already talked about 2 real life situations where it takes day-to-day planning, planning ahead to reach a goal. You know, raising a child or putting food on the table, even if you're, you know, living alone like me. Or anyway, so we're going to go now to the tarot table because I have something to share, which has to do with the class plays I used to write in my my career before this one, in the classroom as a school teacher. Anyway, let's take a look. Let's go downstairs again. So I'm checking my notes here. Yeah, there we go. I had that part done. Good. So here are 2 examples of plays that I wrote for the classroom. This one's called Animal Fables. This is copyrighted for real at the U.S. Copyright Office, 2003. And this one is copyright in the 1990s. This is Road to California. These are plays I did with the class. I'm going to take I got to show you the beautiful artwork. I had some talented artists in my class. And anyway, you can see the lovely cover, all the great cartoons of the characters in the story. We did it both live where the kids dressed up like the animals to do the play, but then we also did puppet show versions of it. Again, I had a long career, many years, so we tried it different ways, different years. All right, so that was cool. And then this one's called Road to California. And this was a way for me to teach fourth and fifth grade social studies at the same time because I had a 4-5 combination class, fourth and fifth graders in the same class. And so it taught about California history, and it also taught about U.S. history, which would have been fifth grade. Not a lot of people, even in California, know about the island of California, or not in the 1990s anyway. I even discovered it, myself outside of the classroom. And it was in the textbook. All you heard about Road to California was all you heard about in the textbook that I taught out of before the computers, right? Before the internet and everything, all you knew was like there was 2 paragraphs. One was the little paragraph they always take out of Mr. Montalvez's book, Las Sergas de Esplandian, the Adventures of Esplandian, where he goes and he sees Queen Califia, the queen of the Amazons, on the island of California. And so I went ahead and made a giant play out of it. And if you were one of the people who bought the Convoluted Autobiography, you will see the best parts of that play in that book. I did include it. They are the scenes from the throne room of Queen Califia when the conquistadors show up and Queen Califia discovers that her own husband has been embezzling from the treasury. And then I'd like to just throw in this story because it's kind of cool. We had a boy who played the husband of Queen Califia. And if you're old enough, you might know about movies by Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and Dorothy Lamour called The Road Pictures. And there was Road to Zanzibar, Road to the Yukon, Road to Utopia. There were a whole bunch of them, and they were hilarious. So I said, let's put Bob Hope and Bing Crosby on the island of California. Let's see what happens. So anyway, the Bob Hope character at the end of the story had to sing, he had to sing a cappella, thanks for the treasury, to the tune of Thanks for the Memory. And he sings a song about how he took all the Queen's treasury and he did something with it he wasn't supposed to. And anyway, I thought it was pretty funny. Apparently, it went over well with the audience. This play, by the way, also won an award. This was the one I got recognized for in 2001 by the New Century Writer. You could look that up. I don't know if it's still around. In any case, I wanted to show this to you because you could see how much planning went into it, right? Besides finding the picture, I had to get the script printed. And there's about 36 pages in the script. And it turns out it ends up being like 1 page of dialogue or 1 page of a script per child in the class. That's usually how it ends up working out, I discovered after many years. And then we did 2 shows. We did 8:45 in the morning for the school. We had an assembly. And then at night at 6:45, that's when the families could come in and watch the night version of the show. And then you can see it's in June, right? So after they do the play in June, they're really riding high before they leave for the summer. And the last thing on their mind is, dude, that class play was awesome with Mr. Breakaway, Road to California, cool. So anyway, I got some more notes about the play. I think I'm coming upstairs for this part. Yeah, so everyone knows I keep notes so that I don't make mistakes and I don't leave anything out. Anyway, let's see if I got this light. Here we go. So many people would say, Mr. Breakaway, how do you do it? That seems like such a gigantic project. All that stuff came out of my brain. I know, that's pretty crazy. Well, you have to schedule it in, and you don't wait until the last week of May to do it. You pretty much have to start before the school year begins in August. If you already know you're going to do the play, print scripts out, get them ready. It didn't take too long as a teacher to discover that if I was going to do the same project every year, then I only need to stand at the copy machine 1 day. Standing at the copy machine takes up a lot of time. So I might stand at the copy machine, make a class set, and then I'll make a class set for the next year. And then the year after that, depending on the project. If I really think it's one of those go-to things I always do, like owl pellets in 4th grade. I knew I was doing owl pellets. It was part of the curriculum prescribed by the school district. And it was a fun thing to do. So I just had like backup copies. I didn't have to go hover around the copy machine all the time. Anyway, enough with the copies. You had to go to the calendar and you had to work with the office. And you had to pick out time for your show. And then not only that, you can't just like show up on the day and do your show. It's going to look like garbage. You need to practice in the cafeteria. You need to like know where everyone's standing. You have to do something called blocking, which is what you learn when you're in the theater. Kids in my class were getting a real training in theater, whether they had a theatrical bent or not. They knew about upstage and downstage and all the other technical terms that you would need to know about when you're doing movement on stage and projecting your voice, theater technique, things like that. So we already talked about the scripts, but then you have roles to play. So hopefully, if you wrote the script or if you picked up the script, it's written in such a way that the students can understand it and pretend, right? Let's see if I got this right. Yeah. So that students can pretend. If they can understand it, they can pretend, and they love to pretend, right? So you got that going for you. Then you have to worry about sets. So you may want to set up your sets for your scenes. The simpler, the better, right? But don't forget you're sharing space with the other classes and with the school if you're using the cafeteria or the auditorium. So you have to have storage space. So hopefully you have an agreeable staff and leadership and a good plan where everyone can cooperate and hold hands, to encourage one another to do these great projects in school. Each year, every class should have a project like that, right? So that they can all celebrate working together, build esprit de corps, that quote unquote family feeling. All right. Let's see. So then you have to also consider, it's fun to do a play. There's always pressure, however, to make sure that the academics get accomplished. Well, for those, there may be a lot of people out there who are interested in education and being a teacher. So I would say you need to consider the curriculum first. But when you're doing the curriculum, there's this time we used to call sponge activity time. If you're done with your work, you're in transition, you're between activities, what kind of sponge activity could you do? When I was last in the classroom, it was turn on your laptop and go play that game. And, that's great that they have games that help you develop your academics and your skills. That's wonderful. But in the olden days, well, I can't even say that. That's not even fair. I'm thinking of my olden days when I went to school in New York, but that would be way back in the 1970s. So let's talk about what's just going on, what I know of right now. So what I would do is I would take that sponge activity time and I'd say that's going to be like play production time. So when you're done with your work, you want to develop your costume. You want to plan for how you're going to make a costume for your puppet, for example. You want to go over your lines outside. Can you help someone with their lines? That would be cool. And then you have people, they may not play on the playground together. They may not even like sitting next to each other, but they're in a scene together. They got to practice their lines together. They find new ways to respect each other. And that's a great lesson to learn when you're really young like that. We want those people interacting and working with us when they're adults. Anyway, I think I got that. I think I got that taken care of. So what else have I got to say about this? Oh, that's part one. Glad I could share that with you. It all came from my mind or whatever, but every day I was like moving ahead with my project. I had to schedule time with the office to get those practice times. I had to talk to parents about coordinating costumes. I had to make sure I had all the right materials. But first, of course, you have to plan it all out. Get out a piece of paper, make your list. What's your goal? Have a goal. While you got time on the planet, go for it. Make a goal. What are you waiting for? It's just the beginning. All right, let me go to my next thing now. This would be about voting. I've been talking about this book a couple of times. I did so recently on a podcast with Julia Anchorhaven. We had a very special guest on our show. This is called Imperial Earth. But I also spoke about Imperial Earth on Rob Khalil's Typical Skeptic Podcast. And that would have been the President's Day Convoluted Autobiography show on Typical Skeptic Podcast. That would have been way back in February of 2025. Yeah, I think that's right. February, just before I learned tarot. So in Imperial Earth, they talk about Earth in the future and how they have an election for the President of Earth. That's right, an election for the President of Earth. So what I'm going to do, so that it's not very photogenic watching me read. So I don't care how photogenic it is. I'm going to move the camera down and you're going to see what I'm reading upside down. All right, so here we go. Check this out. Arthur C. Clarke wrote this in the 1970s. This is about voting. And I want to show you Well, I want to say it was so unlike me to do something like this in my book. I would never do this, but I was getting ready for Rob's show. I'm all, yeah, I better make sure I got it. I'm surprised I haven't written it out again and typed it out and made it bigger. So now, anyway, here you go, everybody. Here, check out my organite while I'm reading. There we go. Okay, so where we are in the story right now is that we're learning about the president. The president is a woman. The president is from the United States. And because it's a special year for the United States, they decided that the president of the United States, this woman, is going to be president of Earth for this upcoming term. And now I'm going to read you this wonderful paragraph. As a gesture of courtesy, in this centennial year, she was president not only of the United States, but also of Earth. And of course, she had not asked for either job. If she had done so, or even if she had been suspected of such a faux pas, she would have been automatically eliminated. For the last century, almost all top political appointments on Terra had been made by random computer selection from the pool of individuals who had the necessary qualifications. It had taken the human race several thousand years to realize that there were some jobs that should never be given to the people who volunteered for them, especially if they showed too much enthusiasm. As one shrewd political commentator had remarked, open quote, "We want a president who has to be carried screaming and kicking into the White House, but will then do the best job he possibly can so that he'll get time off for good behavior." Close quote. Arthur C. Clarke presents a situation in which artificial intelligence is used in a positive way to pool all the qualified candidates and draw from them. And one surefire way to make sure someone doesn't get the job is to monitor whether or not the person is asking for the job, offering to volunteer. That person doesn't get the job. Anyway, something to think about. I would like to also add that I didn't want to speak about voting before the election. Voting, again, is a very emotional subject, so I tamed myself and I pursued other trains of thought before the election here in the United States. And now that it's over, I wanted to tell you that, again, my old days in the classroom, I actually brought in my vote by mail envelope and I either voted right in front of the class, not showing them who I was voting for, but just demonstrating the process, or even like licking and sealing the envelope and signing it in front of them, putting a stamp on it, even though I don't need to in the United States, just to show it's there. There's nothing wrong with it, because this is my point of view, and this is going back maybe a decade now. This vote by mail fraud business, it feels like a psyop to stop people from voting. And when you mix it in with, removing voting booths from some neighborhoods and some cities, and other ways of suppressing the vote, which are outward, okay, and conspicuous, well, maybe we should also consider what's going on with the vote by mail situation. So this way we consider all the points of view and all the perspectives, because voting is too precious. It's too precious to us here in the United States to have people mess with it and mess with our minds over it. So I want to let everyone know that from my point of view, vote by mail is a good thing and a fair thing. And it's hard for me to believe that the whole fraud thing that came out about a decade ago is like totally out of nowhere. It had never been an issue. And I promise I was monitoring. I'm always like monitoring what's going on. I read Mother Jones magazine. Okay. So anyway, the other thing I like to say is that here's something else we don't hear in the United States. So for my friends here in the United States, the way they vote in other countries, these are English speaking countries. And thankfully we have some of these people watching STARCARD podcast right now in the chat. But anyway, there are some countries where they do a vote by rank. A vote. I got to start over and do that again. In some countries they have a vote by rank system. I know, here we have mostly the two-party system, and then if they get too close, we have to have a runoff. And if the runoff's too close, then the court has to step in. Geez, what a lot of drama Okay, guess what they do in other countries? You vote by rank. If your first vote doesn't get in, who's your second? And if your second vote doesn't get in, who's your third? And then the computer tabulates them. And if it's too close in round one, well, then they find out who gets the most second place votes. So there's never any runoffs and there's no drama, and you just move on with the state's business. You want to keep society going? You need your system of society running. And if we want to participate in that, we need to be aware of what our opportunities are, our choices are with voting, and we should just be able to discuss it and think about these things. I'm just presenting some ideas today. This is not a channel that usually talks about geopolitics, but I am presenting ideas for us all to think about. I do believe in civic responsibility. Someone in my position who pretends to be so educated, I say pretend. I got a bunch of college degrees. I've been in education for more than 3 decades. Someone like me should speak about what he knows if he's going to be a responsible citizen. There's a lot of people who want to know, and I have the time, and I'm afforded this time to be able to share this information with everyone who's interested and sincere about also showing civic. So go get them, everybody. Think about voting and talk about voting every day. Pursue those items we just talked about that I just shared with you. The ranking system. How do they vote in Australia? How do they vote in European countries? We don't want royalty anymore. Okay. When did society ever flourish under royalty? Ask George Washington. Anyway, back to the show. We're going to ask the tarot world to comment on voting. And I guess especially paying attention to voting. Paying attention to voting. All right, here we go. Back down to the tarot can. And then after we do this one, it's time for audience readings. Right on time, everybody. And for your tarot readings, if you'd like me to use the foil deck or the mermaid deck or any of the other decks I have, just make your request. It's not hard for me to go get those other decks. Here we go. Thanks for the soda bubble Valentine hearts. That lets me know my internet connection is still groovy. Cool, everybody. All right. Hey, Tarot World. I know I did make a Post-it note for this, everybody. But nevertheless, this is about voting. This is about voting, paying attention to voting, thinking about voting. I wish it was easy. Something I didn't mention before were the voting machines, especially in the turn of the century. I'm talking about George W. Bush era. We had a vice president here named Richard Cheney, and we were making a transition of voting machines. But Richard Cheney was saying that we did not need receipts for our votes. And then it turned out during that same election where Richard Cheney said we didn't need to have receipts for the votes on the voting machines, turns out the voting machines were tampered with. I mean, that was an easy call. And I even heard a story I read somewhere that, people under the age of 18 had no problem hacking a voting machine. And I think that's also a lot of extra drama. So hang on, I'm throwing cards here, but let me just finish the statement upstairs. So from what I understand, people in the United States could buy a house on the internet. They could sit in their living room, find a nice house online, never visit it, never shake hands with any of the people that they would do the interactions with, never have a whole bunch of other security issues. You would just be doing straightforward transactions financially. Okay. If you can manage $1 million transaction like that over the internet, how hard is it to make voting that secure? That's another thing I wanted to share. Another thing to think about. This is way too hard. Don't tell me the people who are like all proponents of Neuralink can't figure out voting from your phone. You can manage your whole financial day-to-day transactions with a phone, waving things around, getting things scanned. You can't do voting yet, though? Come on. We're not trying hard enough. You're holding back on us. You're sandbagging us. I know you could do better than this. All right. Anyway, I think the tarot world is starting to channel through me here. Let's go back downstairs. Here we go. All right, tarot world. I know you can't wait to talk. What's going on with voting in the year 2025, especially in the United States? How are we doing? What can you say about voting in the United States? Help us pay attention to voting, please. Thank you, Tarot World. A fun, helpful message about voting, please. All right. More entertainment only. Here we go. First up, voting is precious, says the Four of Pentacles. Plainly, this guy sees how valuable the Pentacles are, but also he's not going anywhere, because if he does, he's not holding on to the two Pentacles on the ground under his feet. So we're in a bit of a fixated spot, holding on to something precious and valuable, but we also seem transfixed like deer in headlights. We can't really go anywhere right now. We do have other cards. Maybe we do have a chance to go someplace. Maybe the Page of Wands is going to find a place for us to go. Well, okay, the Judgment card shows up. The Judgment card talks about swapping out old energies for new energies. So yeah, our election system seems to have trapped us. And it is incredibly precious, but it's not evolving. And maybe it's time for a change. We do need to evaluate it. I mean, that's what judgment means, right? Evaluation. I hope that President James Carter is looking on from above, because he was an elections inspector and observer. That guy was for real when it came to elections. So anyway, let's move on. By the way, James Carter wrote many books. I'm sure you could look him up and learn about his position on elections. Next up, the Wheel of Fortune. This is coming out to be an interesting story here. The Wheel of Fortune talks about cycles of energy, because it's a wheel. It talks about luck, which could be good luck or bad luck. It also talks about destiny and fate. So we're in this unusual position in the United States where our election system needs to transform. And now it looks like we're on the precipice of watching it happen. And then the Queen of Cups is encouraging us to be empathic. Let's read what it says here. Compassion, comfort, calm, nurturing, healing, emotionally stable, intuitive, and caring. Our election system needs to transform. The time is now. That's why we all got to be cool about it. For example, if you're in the Midwest and you know that winter is coming, by now you've planned ahead probably, and your wood is already chopped and you're getting ready for the winter season. Okay, so you don't need to get excited about it. If we, knowledge is power. If we know our voting system not only needs to change, but we have a good idea of how to change it, we just look at our other English-speaking country friends and see how they do it. Okay, we can all be cool about this. But if we're going to run around with if we're going to run around screaming and being dramatic and stuff, we're not going to accomplish anything. No one's going to want to listen. Okay, so the Ten of Swords says we're at the end of a painful episode. I hope so. Next, the Seven of Swords says something is going to be revealed. So maybe there's something going on that, we don't even see and hasn't even been mentioned on this podcast or any other. But in the end, the Eight of Pentacles says we should be diligent. And by the way, I think it was Benjamin Franklin who they say said something like, you can have a democracy for as long as you can keep it. And when I see this Eight of Pentacles guy, it reminds me again of civic responsibility. If we want it, we got to work at it. And well, I'll just stop there. Anyway, thank you so much, Tarot World. Those are great sentiments for all of us to think about when it comes to voting. We have a full year now to get ready for the next round. Here we go. I'm going to give these a toss. And then I'm happy to say I see the chat is bursting with life. And I'll be getting some nice tarot readings for everybody. Some fun, helpful, exciting messages. I'm going to get a piece of paper so I can write down my stuff. All right. Excuse me, please. All right, I'm having a good time now. All right, very good. Ooh, did I go a little long? Sorry, everybody. All right, so Julia, hello, Julia. Congratulations, Julia, on your video with John Whitberg and myself. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate you sharing it with me and involving me in that project. I'll never forget it, right? So anyway, got you down for number 1, Julia. Number 2, I see, hey, Flixlove, I saw you yesterday too, huh? Way to go, Flixlove. I think I saw you yesterday. Number 3, hi, Lisa Talcott. Okay, now I'm going to scroll up and down through the chat. I'm looking for people who say tarot, please. If you put it in capital letters, it's easier for me to see. I'm sorry if I accidentally miss anybody. I don't mean to do that. All right, so let me scroll up. Did I get Flixlove? Yep, good. Oh, hello, Seraphim Speaks. Okay, great. I'm going to write you down, Seraphim Speaks. I see Namira Nin Holland. I don't see that you've requested one, but I'm going to go ahead and write down your name anyway. I'm probably going to see that message. All right. I'm still checking around. Yeah, I got Lisa Talcott. Yeah. Oh, Seraphim Speak, you want the foil deck. Good. Let's see. Julia, you want 3 cards. Good. That helps. All right. Yeah, thank you, Julia. Okay, so far I see Julia gets 3 cards, Flixlove, then Lisa Talcott, then Seraphim Speaks wants the foil deck, then Nin Holland Namira. I've got 5 people so far. You can request a reading, ladies and gentlemen. There's still time. I'm not going anywhere, but I'm going to start off with Julia. Give her 3 cards. Great. Wow. Yeah, it's a full moon. I bet we're going to get a nice clear on this full moon out here where I'm at. I think the moon is, it's not set already. It's about to where I'm at. But these cards are for Julia, almost on the other side of the planet there. That's great. 3 cards for Julia, please. A fun, helpful message for Julia, probably to commemorate her great accomplishment yesterday. Yeah. Here we go. Wow. Commemorate your great accomplishment. It's the 10 of Cups. Divine love, harmony, blissful relationships, alignment, inner happiness, fulfillment, dreams come true, total love and support. Nice. Yeah. It's the Queen of Wands. You might as well sit like the Queen of Wands, Julia. Right on. The Queen of Wands, courage, confident, independence, focused, zest for life, determination, and joy. I think they both said joy, didn't they? And well, Julia knows that there's another meaning to the 8 of Swords beyond what all these terms on the card say. Because in my lexicon, Breakaway Ray, the 8 of Swords says, as much as you can imagine, it's just a little phrase. Your dreams come true. You may as well be exuberant and have zest for life as much as you can imagine. I bet the next card would be like the 3 of Cups or any other party down card, the 4 of Wands. All right, Julia, those are a nice 3 cards. You might as well like make a short video of that one. All right. Next up, it's Flixlove. Flixlove also has got it going on out there in Europe. All right, Flixlove. I think she's in Europe. How about a fun, helpful message for Flixlove, please? Wow, Tarot World. You keep the fireworks coming. Cool deal. Way to go. These cards are for Flick's Love. A fun, helpful message for Flick's Love, please. These cards are for Flick's Love. Hi, Flick's Love. All right. These cards are for you. These two? Okay. All right, Flick's Love. Let's see what's going on. First up, it's the King of Wands, the one who has no problem going over obstacles, the one who sees the big picture, the natural leader, the visionary, the entrepreneur, overcoming challenges. The King of Wands is mature and career focused. And then the Three of Swords indicates there's some kind of heartache. Okay. But this really looks magnified. I'm not saying all pain is small, but maybe in the big picture it is. So in the big, or I don't want to say that the pain is the whole picture. Let's move on here. Yeah, here we go. I think I was grooving in the right way there. So the King of Wands, the visionary, overcoming obstacles, the natural leader, the entrepreneur. Of course, there are challenges along the way, but you're being guided, says the Siga. You are being guided, says the Six of Swords, from rougher waters to calmer waters by a divine hand. You're not really alone on this throne, although you're the one who has to tangle down here on 3D Earth, okay? But you got the spirit world channeling energy in the right direction so you can catch the wind in your sail. And then, ka-ching, the Four of Pentacles talks about what is valuable. Wow, this is like an echo. I know I shuffled these cards and drew randomly, but the Ten of Swords reminds us that this is the end of a painful episode. Yeah, there were 3 and they look really magnified here. And now all 10 are done and they look farther away from that perspective because now you're looking at a broader perspective, says the Page of Wands. You can see over everything. There is unlimited potential. And then, yay, congratulations. So that's the nature of the gifts from God, right? The gifts from the universe. Your new project, your new career, it's very three-dimensional. It's rich with life. You can experience the pleasures, and the ups and downs of the experience. Anyway, Flick's Love, good luck to you. Let's remember you're overcoming obstacles and the end is in sight. Forget about the light at the end of the tunnel. That light is the sun and it's lighting up your whole sky. Go for it, Flick's Love. Thanks a lot for letting me read. I appreciate you inviting me to read. Yeah, you're welcome, Flick's Love. Cool. Next up, it's Lisa Talcott. Hi, Lisa Talcott. We're going to get you some fun, helpful messages from the tarot world. Let me give these cards a shuffle. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in at this early hour. I appreciate your company. I love the practice. Throwing the tarot cards. These cards are for Lisa Talcott. A fun, helpful message for Lisa Talcott, please. Wow. Here we go. Sounds good to me. All right. Hey, Lisa Talcott, weren't you the one that I did this with once, where I just kind of moved the cards around like this? Want to do it again? Let's see what happens. Can I move it around? Okay. All right, let's see what happens. Oh, you started with the Ace of Wands. There's magic in the air. Like a magic trick, I moved that card into that spot to start with. It's a new project, inspiration, urge to create, desire, power, potential beginnings, new opportunities. Hooray. And then it says, be cool. It's the Temperance card. Show balance, harmony, moderation, patience, being sensible. Do you know that whole marshmallow trick? It just came to, not a trick, a marshmallow test. They would have these people in a study, and they said, you could eat this marshmallow on this plate before us right now, but if you wait a couple of minutes, I'll give you more marshmallows. And it was like a big psychological test to see who would eat the marshmallow or who would wait and get more marshmallows just from waiting. So I'm going to say, be patient with your new project. It's one of those laws of karma that says things take time if it's really worth it. What am I going to see? The Four of Pentacles again? Here we go. The Hierophant says there's some kind of learning involved. And it also suggests that there's some kind of social structure involved. The Hierophant, institutions, tradition, religion, society and its rules, social approval, conformity, forgiveness, mercy, wisdom, and trust. They did say wisdom, and wisdom is the opposite of being impetuous. So again, be cool, be chill. The magic is just getting started. It's just the beginning of the holiday season. It's going to come out great. You're going to get all the presents wrapped just in time. No worries. Then, what's with the Ten of Swords card? So the Ten of Swords shows up again, almost in the same spot. And he says it's the end of a painful episode. And it also talks about painful endings, deep wounds, betrayal, loss, crisis, failure, collapse, defeat. Hey, welcome to Earth. We've all been there. It's over. On to the next bunch of swords, please. All right. Then the Judgment card says we're swapping out what's old and we're bringing in what's new. It's the end of a painful episode. Throw that stuff away. Look what you got coming. Welcome to STARCARD Podcast. It's the Star card. Hope, calm, faith, purpose, renewal, spirituality, fortune, good omen, and rejuvenation. Both of these cards talked about calm. Look at the magic happening. Everything's being taken care of. And then the Two of Pentacles says that there are multiple things to think about, maybe even multiple opportunities, multiple priorities. That's better. Multiple priorities, time management, adaptability, and balancing decisions. Adaptability. You adapted, you moved past this, okay? And you remembered your star card and you adapt. That's how you go through the rest of the show. Way to go. Keep up the good work. Thanks for inviting me to read. All right, next up. Oh, I'm going to shuffle the foil deck for Seraphim Speaks. Okay. All right, foil deck. Ugh. Look at the cards want to move by themselves. You're welcome, Lisa Talcott, and you're welcome, Flixlove. Thanks. All right. Nice and calm. Okay, thank you, Tarot World. And now, do you have a fun, helpful message that isn't so explosive? Seraphim Speaks. She requested the foil deck special. Here we go. This message is from Seraphim Speaks. Okay, all right. A fun, helpful message for Seraphim Speaks, please. These cards are for Seraphim Speaks. Then we'll see the Judgment card. The Seraphim Speaks. All right, let's see what happens. They are lovely cards. I want to make sure we, I think that even looks better that way. Cool. First up, it's the Knight of Wands. Make up your mind, Ray. It's the Knight of Wands. Look at that guy charging energetically. He is well prepared. I mean, that outfit he's wearing to go to war is awesome. His horse also looks very handsome. All I could say is, like, you're sending your best soldier into action there. Look at that. Look at that horse go. He's galloping higher than the pyramids in the distance. You might as well be like in Apollo's cart, dragging the sun across the sky. Wow, the Three of Pentacles talks about teamwork, collaboration, and building something. Are you putting together like an all-star team here? Then is that the Ten of Pentacles? It is. The Ten of Pentacles talks about wealth and contribution. Wow. And then the Ace of Swords shows up and talks about mental clarity and truth. So it looks like there's a collaboration which is going to be very fulfilling and bring a lot of clarity somewhere. Then it's the Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups talks about opportunities, and all the opportunities that are presented, not all of them are great. I think one of them has got a scorpion dangling out of the cup. So be careful which one you choose. Use discernment. That might be a message for your whole team. The whole team making this happen. Then the Nine of Pentacles says you're all going to get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. This is a really good teamwork vibe. Yeah. And then the King of Swords again talks about mental clarity. So look at how you're punctuating this. It's a clear breakthrough. There's no more distraction or confusion because you're doing it with people, and you're building something from amongst a lot of choices. You're almost building upon the rubble of the garbage that was clouding the image before. Well, that's a very inspirational message for anyone who's an anti-propagandist. I hope I'm not reading too much into it. Thank you very much for inviting me to read Seraphim Speaks. I don't know. It was a fun story. I enjoyed telling it. All right. Let's see who's next. Oh, and then it looks like finally it's Ninholland, Namira. Oh, okay. Very good, Seraphim Speaks. I appreciate your feedback. Thank you very much. It sounds awesome, by the way, Seraphim Speaks. That sounds really cool, I got to say. All right, I would love to talk to you more about it. Anyway, we're going to throw some cards here for Namira, Ninholland. Here we go, Namira. Thanks for our friends tuning in around the world. If I don't see any other reading requests, we'll be closing up shop after Ninholland. All right. I remember a phrase in Dutch. I think it's lekker bloemen, nice flowers. Don't remember a lot of Dutch. Didn't learn a lot of Dutch. Tried very hard, though. I still have a pen pal in Holland. I think the whole family was from Hilversum. Anyway, I'm just kind of shooting the breeze here while I randomize the cards. But now we're going to ask the Tarot World to shoot off its finale, probably. How about a nice, fun, helpful, exciting message for Ninholland, please? These cards are for Namira. All right. These cards are for Namira. How about a fun, helpful message for Namira, please? Really? Okay, yeah, all right, I'll do it. That's a lot of cards. All right, get my practice in. So before, okay. Here we go, Namira. You're welcome, Namira. First up, I like it. We keep seeing the Judgment card today. We're shedding old energies. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a full moon in my time bubble. So you know what? It's a new phase we're beginning here. Then we have the King of Cups, one of my favorite cards, one of my favorite kings. For management purposes, the King of Cups is emotionally balanced. He's not the narcissistic, dramatic, attention, provoking boss manager who doesn't know what they're. Anyway, easy. Calm down, Breakaway Ray. All right. We're supposed to have fun here. Okay. Sorry, Namira. Ooh, flashback. All right. Post-traumatic stress disorder. King of Cups for Namira, emotionally balanced. Compassion, diplomatic, control, balance, supportive leader, tolerance, and empathic. Then the Death card indicates endings and beginnings. A new phase for the moon, a new phase for you, perhaps, Namira. Transitions. Yay! Then the Star card shows up, talking about rejuvenation, inspiration, hope. That's great. That's a great change. Look at how nicely this is coming along. We're swapping out old energy for new. We're heading in the right direction with empathic leadership and diplomacy. We're thinking about everybody. We're not being selfish. And it's a new beginning with a lot of hope. And then the Four of Swords also talks about rejuvenation. These are two cards of rejuvenation. There was a change that brought about a lot of rejuvenations. Wow. This even talks about rejuvenation. Let's keep going. The Justice card shows up, talks about cause and effect and balance and law. Then the Knight of Swords shows up, going pretty quickly, ambitious, action-oriented, driven to succeed. That's what it is. Fast thinking, defending beliefs. Cause and effect, driven to succeed. The the Nine of Swords talks about sleepless nights. But wait a second, there's one more card. Okay, and then the Page of Wands shows up with its limitless potential. The Page of Wands also talks about inspiration, ideas, and discovery. So this character shed some energies and brought in some new ones, and now they feel like the King of Cups, and they can tell where people are coming from, and there's been a change through this rejuvenation. Through this rejuvenation process, we are inspired to take what we have learned and balance it, and we could go out and understand other people's concerns about the same things that we learned about, and we can show them the way forward. That was fun, Namira. Thanks a lot for inviting me to read. Okay. Did I miss Ascending Universal Butterfly? Hello, Ascending Universal Butterfly. Yes. Thanks for helping me out, everybody. Let's get these cards together. Did I miss a message about a tarot deck request? Foil deck. Got it. All right. Now I'm looking back up on the chat. See, during the show, I'm only looking at the bottom part. I'm not looking up there, but now I got it. Yeah, tulips are Dutch. That's right. All right. The foil deck for Ascending Universal Butterfly. You're welcome, Namira Ninholland. Here we go. Ascending Universal Butterfly. It's been another great day here at StarCard Podcast. I like it when that star card keeps showing up. Here we go. We got the foil deck. A fun, helpful message, please, for Ascending Universal Butterfly. These cards for Ascending Universal Butterfly. Could we please have a fun, helpful message for Ascending Universal Butterfly? Thank you. All right. These cards are for Ascending Universal Butterfly. Wonderful. All right. Okay, I was just checking to see if there was something else going on there. Here we go, Ascending Universal Butterfly. It's going to be a fun throw. We're starting off with the Ace of Cups. A new life, proposal, marriage. Your cup is overflowing. Great. It's a brand new day. It's like it feels like a Saturday morning already. Saturday morning before Thanksgiving holiday. Oh, wait. No, I don't know what continent you're on. Here in the United States, this is like a Thursday morning on Thanksgiving. Yeah, the Wheel of Fortune talks about luck, good luck, bad luck, ends of a cycle, beginnings of a cycle. There's a whole lot more to this. I got to learn more about the Wheel of Fortune card. Sweet. Then the Ace of Swords cuts away all the garbage, and you have mental clarity, and you see the truth. Nice. Is that what I think it is? Oh, it's the King of Pentacles. He talks about wealth, for real wealth, like the 3D wealth, money and stuff. You're in a very enriched spot. Maybe it's your turn. Maybe you know why. Maybe you see why it's happening. Maybe you understand you are the valuable person. All the wealth is inside you. Now I'm feeling all new agey. Well, you are awakening something within yourself to make this apparent luck happen. Big changes, huh? Seeing things like you never saw before, maybe? Let's go. Next row. Yay, the fool says it's a new beginning. All right, Ascending Universal Butterfly. Have a nice trip. See you next fall. Watch your step there. And then the Hierophant talks about learning as well as social acceptance. So you may have learned a lot already, and you may learn a way to integrate what you've learned into the lives of those around you, the lives of those you are impacting. Well, I hope that was a fun, helpful, instructive message, Ascending Universal Butterfly. Could it be time to close up shop, everybody? Oh, I was reading Ascending Universal Butterfly's reply in the chat, and she said, "See you next year." And I was getting sad, like, what? Did something go wrong? It's only November. I'm not going to see her till January. Where's she going? But then I saw the laughing faces. She was just going along with my joke. That was very funny. We're having a good time here at StarCard Podcast. All right. So, by the way, programming note, there probably will not be a show tomorrow, but I do believe I do keep a routine of like maybe sometime over the weekend, I come out and I give you your cards for the following week, right? I do your tarological prognostication for the following week over the weekend so that we can get going right away on Monday whenever people tune in and catch the podcast. So thanks for a great day. Thanks for a great day, everybody. Thanks for inviting me to read. You might want to go check out the video section and the playlist section at StarCard Podcast. There have been some new developments. And anyway, go have fun out there, everybody. You might as well enjoy yourself. All right. Thanks for everything. I appreciate it.